Jun Akiyama has needed his own video for quite some time now. He is, after all, the guy who's usually considered the fifth pillar in 90s All Japan. He wasn't at all far behind the Big Four, certainly in terms of his skill in the ring. However, Jun Akiyama never quite managed to take the place of anyone in the Big Four. His career is kind of odd as a result. He's certainly one of the all-time greats, he's got a whole load of titles and tournaments under his belt, legendary feuds against the likes of Misawa and Kobashi, and yet there is always the nagging feeling that Jun Akiyama underachieved in the end, that he really should have taken a place amongst the very elite, to have had a proper shot at being the leader of a company in the heyday of ProRes, the undisputed top guy. But alas, it never quite happened in either 90s All Japan or 2000s Noah. To look at the reasons why that is, it's probably best to go all the way back to the beginning, to his debut. Akiyama's debut was special. I would go so far as to say that he was the most hyped up debutant in ProRes since 1973 and Jumbo Tsuruta. It all started in the autumn of 1992 with one of the greatest debut matches of all time against Kenta Kobashi, which naturally we'll be looking at, but there's more than just that, even in this period, the first couple of months of Jun Akiyama's career. Why, there's also a pretty fabulous, stunning run in the Real World Tag League that sees this young hothead mix it up with a whole host of legends. He's got a lot going on, far more than just about anyone ever has in their rookie year. So let's get into the blue trunks, the shadow explosion, the super rookie, Jun Akiyama. And yes, I am going to be saying rookie a lot, despite my speech quirks. If images of Chewbacca suddenly flash in your head at any point, I won't blame you. Anyway, let's get on. So, how did Akiyama get in? It all starts in 1969 with a kid born in Osaka who was apparently somewhat scrawny at first and tended to get bullied for it, but then, well, he hit a growth spurt. His first natural sport in love wasn't actually wrestling or indeed any combat sport. In another life, Jun Akiyama could have been a champion swimmer, as he was really freaking good at it. However, wrestling and judo were more popular options when he got to high school, and Akiyama practiced them both at first before eventually concentrating on wrestling and again, becoming pretty damn good at it. He's a proper jock type, by this stage far bigger than anyone else at his school, working at his craft all the time. And yes, there is pro wrestling in the background, something he loved right from the off, with Jumbo Tsuruta being his favourite. He ends up in Senshu University, which has something of a pedigree in amateur wrestling, including guys who would end up becoming pro wrestlers. Riki Choshu undoubtedly is the most famous of these, while future New Japan star and 1992 Olympian Manabu Nakanishi was his senior at the university, beating Akiyama on his way through the trials to make it to Barcelona. It was quite late into Akiyama's 4 years at university when he made the decision to go into pro wrestling. Initially, he expected to become a salaryman back in Osaka, but he worried that such a life wasn't really for him. Right near the end of his university time, his wrestling coach Kenshiro Matsumami tells him to go to a hotel where scouts from All Japan await. They were very impressed indeed by his work, and well, that was it. Akiyama joined up with All Japan Pro Wrestling. Right from the very start, Jun Akiyama's path was different to other ProRes rookies. He was actually still a student when All Japan introduced him to the media in February of 1992, something that almost never happened for someone who's just entered ProRes. I mean, it's only going to happen if you're someone who's already had a lot of success in another combat sport, a Koji Kitao or a Hiroshi Wajima. But this is a 22-year-old Jun Akiyama, only just leaving university, and he's even shown in the ring on an All Japan TV broadcast on March 15th. Months before the bell even rings on his debut match, it's clear that they're expecting great things from this guy. The idea is simple, really. Akiyama is being positioned almost as if he is the second coming of Jumbo Tsuruta, a prodigy who is going to become a big deal fairly quick. Tsuruta himself is involved in his training, alongside Giant Baba, Kenta Kobashi and Akira Taue. It's a fast track to the big time, for sure. Akiyama's certainly getting majorly put through the paces in the dojo, but it is almost immediately with a view to putting him in a significant spot, whereas, well, others would usually have to struggle quite a bit to get that sort of attention. You do wonder if it's the sort of path that could have had negatives, if it was possible for Jun Akiyama to get some sort of ego due to this attention, to develop some rather arrogant, Kitao-esque traits. Happily this didn't happen, as Akiyama was far too good and professional for any of that, but All Japan put quite a lot of chips on this 22-year-old athlete. Thankfully none of those chips ended up on his shoulder. And so we get to Jun Akiyama's debut, September 17th, 1992. It's a very appropriate time and place for it. We are at the Koeken Hall in Tokyo, the beating heart of all puroresu. More than that, this is All Japan's 20th anniversary show, a very special occasion headlined by Baba and Tsuruta teaming together once again, complete with Masanobu Fuchi, to take on the Super Generation Army, Mitsuharu Misawa, Toshiaki Kawada and Tsuyoshi Kikuchi. And in the semi-main, the Super Rookie is taking his first bow. Jun Akiyama steps in the ring, and his first opponent isn't going to be any mug, it's Kenta Kobashi. Kobashi himself was someone who rose up quite quickly, previously a Rookie of the Year in 1988 before the original All Japan Exodus in 1990 saw him quickly earn a larger role on the cards than someone who'd only been around a couple of years would normally have. And so he is about as ideal an opponent as you can get for Jun Akiyama in his debut match. We've had all the hype, of course, but now it's time for everyone to get their first proper look at Jun Akiyama and see if he is indeed as prodigious a talent as All Japan says he is. We get the typical clean break from the initial lockup, and it's not long before we get an exchange on the ground, Akiyama giving it pretty well, exchanging hammerlocks with Kobashi and repeatedly slipping from his grasp. Akiyama picks Kobashi's leg and manages to hold on a couple of times when Kobashi tries kicking him off, even managing to pick him a second time and hold on. Already he is proving quite tenacious on the ground. Kobashi works a headlock and does knock Akiyama down with a shoulder block off the ropes, but again he is unable to get a proper grounded headlock on Akiyama, the debutant continually reversing position and getting out of there. Again, they end up standing off. A test of strength follows, and Akiyama tries a wristlock suplex, but it's not long before Kobashi's testing out his bridge. However, Akiyama is able to get up and hit that wristlock suplex, working Kobashi's arm on the ground. The pair exchange hammerlocks again, and Kobashi uses a back elbow to knock Akiyama down, but again the debutant has caught him on the ground, working the hammerlock. It's a bit of a shock for the crowd to see this rookie hanging tough with Kobashi like this, but it's helping them get behind him. We exchange armlocks again and Kobashi flips Akiyama, but Akiyama kips up, reverses, and it's still very much on as even. Even a drop toe hold from Kobashi sees Akiyama go behind again to get on top. This time, when we get in the ropes, Akiyama opts to attack, repeatedly hitting Kobashi with forearms. After a few of these, Kobashi's had quite enough, bouncing off with big chops to stun the rookie and knock him down. A pissed off Kobashi aims several kicks to the back, forcing Akiyama out. Kobashi's quick to get him back in there and try for a pin, although referee Kyohei Wada's having none of it. Kobashi hits a body slam and cinches a Boston Crab in pretty deep. Now, often a big submission like this would overcome a debutant, no problem. But with the crowd behind him, Akiyama manages to struggle and eventually escape via the ropes. Still, Kobashi is finally in full control. Now he's locking in a Cobra twist, wrenching the hell out of the newcomer. And again, it's not quite enough to take Akiyama out. He manages to get back up and find those ropes. Kobashi hits a vertical suplex for a 2 count, taking him into the corner for more chops that echo around the Koraken. However, Akiyama reverses a post-in attempt, following in with a back elbow. A high kick takes the rookie down, and more boots follow. Kobashi hits a knife edge that sounds like a thunderclap. However, Akiyama's getting spirit, egging Kobashi on, holding firm in the face of chops and boots, even replying with a couple of forearms and using the momentum of a boot for a real strong flying forearm and a drop kick to knock Kobashi down. Akiyama does go for a pinfall. It's not close, and all of this effort does seem to have drained Akiyama somewhat. Kobashi is able to throw some knees at the rookie, another high kick knocking him down, and Kobashi uncorks a big corner clothesline. Now, seemingly, the rookie's energy tank is completely drained. More hefty strikes come in, and Kobashi hits a fisherman suplex, bridging it out. However, Akiyama manages a kick out. We go into the ropes on the 10-minute mark, Akiyama now trying a sunset flip, but Kobashi blocks. He then tries for a backdrop, but Akiyama manages an initial block, holding firm until Kobashi connects with a Tenryu style enzigiri, following that with a whopper of a backdrop, and it's still not enough. The crowd absolutely roars this near fall, everyone's behind the rookie. A couple more chops and Kobashi runs in for a big attack, but Akiyama reverses with a judo throw for a 2 count of his own. Now he's trying for a German suplex, Kobashi countering with elbows and a high kick. However, when Kobashi goes for another suplex, Akiyama's able to reverse, go behind and hit that German suplex for a big 2 count. A stunning exchange, Akiyama getting incredibly close to what would have been the biggest upset in All Japan's history. Akiyama now looks for a Northern Lights suplex, but this time Kobashi is able to block, hammer, and hit one of his favourites, a DDT. Kobashi's not done there, hitting a springboard bulldog, goes for the cover surely this time, but no, Akiyama kicks out again. A frustrated Kobashi throws more chops in the corner, Irish whips him for a big jump in knee butt, and goes in for the kill. He locks Akiyama in a pump handle, hits the Kentucky bomb, and this time the debutant is unable to answer the count. Kenta Kobashi finally defeats Jun Akiyama, pinning him in 12 minutes 53. Quite rightly, there's a huge show of respect. Kobashi lifts Akiyama up, gives him an embrace and a handshake, all the encouragement in the world, while the rookie bows, getting a moment to take in the appreciation of the crowd as Kobashi raises his hand. It's the first time they've seen him, and they love what they see. Phew! Well, that's a damn good match right there. 13 minutes of strong as hell action where Jun Akiyama managed to give as good as he got to Kenta Kobashi. While there is no doubt that Kenta Kobashi is the guy in charge of this match, Jun Akiyama proves himself more than capable. There's moments where he gets a big dollop of fighting spirit, not to mention the odd moment where he gets a decent near fall on Kobashi, especially that bridging German suplex. It certainly doesn't take long at all for the crowd to get behind him, chanting his name. Again, context is key here. This is Jun Akiyama's first match ever in front of a paying crowd. As such, he should be on the very bottom run of the ladder. In classic pro-res terms, a debut match against someone like Kenta Kobashi should be an absolute mismatch. It's like Little Max skipping Glass Joe and company and going directly to, if not Mike Tyson, at least someone like Mr. Sandman. A regular debutant, hell, a regular guy just in his rookie year, shouldn't ordinarily last more than 2 minutes against someone like Kobashi, whereas Jun Akiyama goes close to 15 minutes against a serious guy, a multi-time All-Asia Tag Champion, someone who only recently went all the way to 30 minutes against Terry Gordy. Kobashi isn't quite main event singles level yet, but he is not far off, and Akiyama's suddenly right there with him on his first time out. Once again, the closest equivalent to this in All Japan is Jumbo Tsuruta in 1973. While that wasn't exactly his first ever match, it was only days after his return to All Japan from Amarillo that he was main eventing, teaming with Bubba to take on the Funks in a 60-minute draw, and even getting a fall on Terry. That's the high watermark for a newcomer in All Japan, and Jun Akiyama's debut is arguably the closest any other wrestler has come to that. Even the venue is a wholly different kettle of fish. Normally a new guy's first match will be at some quite minor spot, opening the card against an experienced journeyman who'll almost certainly beat them, and there definitely won't be any cameras there. But this right here, the semi-main in the freaking Korakuen Hall on All Japan's 20th anniversary show? It's a bold statement indeed. It's saying that this right here is our future. The future's looking bright indeed, and you're going to be seeing a hell of a lot more of this guy over the next decade and then some. And well, they were most certainly right about that. Indeed, circumstances are going to see him become quite prominent just over the next couple of months. Jun Akiyama continues to be featured prominently on the card beyond the debut. It's not long at all before he makes his first appearance in the typical main event multi-man bouts, and it's not as if he is always the guy who's eating the pin. If you were to look at Jun Akiyama matches from 1992 without any knowledge, truthfully you wouldn't think that this was someone who had only made his debut a couple of months previously. He fits so naturally in with anyone else. The only thing really that does perhaps show his lack of experience is that he does deploy all the classic young lion offense. Forearms, German suplex, body press, roll-ups and so on. That is his current forte and he is damn good at it, but we don't as of yet have the big exploders, the monstrous knees, the nasty submissions and the like that Akiyama will develop later on. It's all looking very good as we go through his first tour, the 20th Anniversary Giants Series. It is pretty clear already that All Japan sees the Super Rookie as a top star of the future. However, Akiyama finds himself in an even more prominent position on his second tour. Now, there weren't initially plans for him to be in the 92 Real World Tag League, but it's at this time that we come to a rather big shake-up. Jumbo Tsuruta getting put out of commission by the illness that eventually was revealed to be hepatitis B. Tsuruta was booked to be in his usual team with Akira Taue, and indeed they would have likely been top contenders as they were the tag champs at the time. However, with Tsuruta gone, Jun Akiyama was brought in as a last-minute replacement to team with Taue, and the tag titles were held up to be awarded to the winners of the tag league. So yeah, no pressure or anything. Again, it seems wild, especially considering the pace at which wrestlers' careers usually progress in All Japan. Even for people who are considered high flyers, this sort of advancement takes time. That time may have shortened a little in recent years, of course. All Japan is now something of a walled garden and they don't do years-long foreign excursions for young talents anymore. Guys like Kenta Kobashi did already move up quicker than they traditionally would due to things like the Exodus. But even still, Akiyama's rise is supersonic by ProRes standards. The team of Taue and Akiyama isn't necessarily a team that's in contention for the tag league in the same way that a Taue and Tsuruta team would have been, but they still do pretty damn well. There's some great little matches to look at featuring them from the All Japan TV broadcasts, and they're usually hot as hell to boot. The crowd again really getting behind Jun Akiyama, especially as he's found himself thrown into such a lofty position this early on. I'd say that there are 3 matches here in particular that are of note, all against major opposition. Taue and Akiyama against the teams of Terry Gordy and Steve Williams, aka the Miracle Violence Connection, against Giant Baba and Kenta Kobashi, and the final match against the Super Generation Army, Mitsuharu Misawa and Toshiaki Kawada. So, let's have a look at them. Let's start with the MVC, where we join in progress with Taue in trouble, worked over by these dangerous Americans, Dr. Death and Bam Bam running through an arsenal of stretchers, lariats and slams, at least until Taue's able to get a reversal on Gordy, hit a backdrop and bring Akiyama in. The rookie is full of fire, not showing any intimidation, hitting Gordy with big body pressers. It takes an interruption from Dr. Death and the pair hitting a backdrop chokeslam to turn things around, but that's not putting Akiyama down, and he survives a Gordy STF. Taue interrupts a powerbomb attempt and hits the Nodowa, returning to the ring. He gets some big hits in himself until a backdrop from Gordy allows Williams to get in. Still, Taue hits a couple of enzugiris and another chokeslam for a near fall. Again though, Gordy's running interference and hitting a DDT, Akiyama then taking him outside and hitting a plancher. Taue hits an STO for a near fall, bringing Akiyama in. The rookie hits a dropkick and a Northern Lights, looking for a second like he might just get a shock pin, but Gordy interrupts and powerbombs him. Taue breaks the pin, him and Gordy spill to the outside and, well, at this point, Akiyama is alone with Dr. Death, who wastes no time. He hits the Oklahoma Stampede, and the MVC win it. It is a shame we don't see the full match here, because what we see is pretty freaking great. Next, let's look at Taue and Akiyama versus Baba and Kobashi. The Real World Tag League is generally the time of the year where Giant Baba forgoes the regular, easygoing mid-card six-mans and puts his working boots on, and this match is no exception. We join it with him on offense against Akiyama, hitting a pile driver and the Russian leg sweep, Taue again having to break things up. Now, this pisses Baba off, and he throws Akiyama back to Taue. We get the big chops, Baba still on the attack until he's stopped by a clothesline and a suplex, and Akiyama's brought in for a missile dropkick, then hitting a backdrop. The boss man's weathering the storm, soon coming back with a DDT of his own to bring Kobashi in. He's coming in hot, but again Akiyama is stomaching it, hitting a fisherman suplex. Taue and Kobashi have a typically fiery exchange, Taue in control after a Samoan drop, but then taking a big shoulder block. Baba roars back with coconut crushers, but neither team's able to really take control. A Kobashi interference allows Baba to hit the northern drop, but Akiyama breaks it. We get the machine gun chops and a big knee from Kobashi, Akiyama intercepting a moonsault attempt. This allows for a big backdrop neckbreaker drop combo, but Kobashi kicks out. Akiyama tries a top rope body press, but jumps right into a knee from Kobashi. However, another Taue interception in the corner allows the rookie to hit a superplex. Baba is too slow to break up pins, but Kobashi kicks out. Akiyama suddenly is looking to get that win. He hits a judo throw and a German suplex, getting a big near fall, and from here Baba and Taue start exchanging. A couple of boots in the corner thwart Akiyama, Baba coming in for a knee and Kobashi hitting a bulldog, but the rookie is still there. Kobashi tries the Kentucky bomb only for Taue to intercept and push Akiyama onto Kobashi. It's a near fall, but from there a one from Akiyama is intercepted and Kobashi applies the rolling cradle. Akiyama kicks out, but with Taue and Baba on the outside, Kobashi has the opportunity. He body slams Akiyama, hits the moonsault, and that's your lot. A fabulous match indeed. Certainly a good win for Baba and Kobashi, but another fantastic showcase for Akiyama. He earns a big show of respect from the big boss for his performance. And so we get to the final match of the 1992 Tag League, on December the 4th at the Budokan. Taue and Akiyama have performed well in the tournament. They've won 6 matches, with Akiyama actually getting a pin in one of those, a bout with Danny Spivey and Kendall Windham. Sure, not the best team, but pro-res wrestlers a couple of months into their career don't usually win at all. As we've seen, they do unfortunately fall short against the other major tag teams, but they also defeat teams like Dory Funk Jr. and Tsuyoshi Kikuchi, The Patriot and Eagle, and the Can-Am Express. Still, it is an odd final match between them and the Super Generation Army. 12 points isn't quite enough for them to be in contention, while a 30-minute draw in the semi-main between the MVC and Johnny Ace and Stan Hansen leaves both those teams on 17. Akiyama and Taue could spoil the party completely, seeing as an upset win for them would eliminate Super Generation Army and put the top 2 foreign teams in a playoff, but the much likelier win for Misawa and Kawada would put them on 18 and give them the crown. More than anything, this does show the impact of Jumbo Tsuruta's illness. If that hadn't happened, the Tsuruta Taue team would have very likely, I reckon, been level on points with the Super Generation Army, meaning that this final bout would more than likely have had everything on the line, and perhaps it may well have been the decisive final battle in this years-long generational rivalry, the one that Tsuruta's illness sadly robbed us of. With Tsuruta down, plans did have to change a little. Akiyama may be damn good, but getting a chance to actually win the Tag League would have definitely been too much too soon, perhaps making the audience feel like he's been shoved down their throats. Still, it is another chance for the Super Rookie to show that he can mix it up in there with the very best. Taue and Kawada kick things off. This pair have been heated rivals for years and there's certainly no clean breaks, the pair exchanging big strikes right from the bell. Kawada blocks an attempt at a face crusher and connects with a boot, cinching in a headlock from there, still holding on when Taue tries an atomic drop and holding it for some time until Taue finally escapes with a backdrop, bringing Akiyama in. Akiyama is straight in with a dropkick and chin lock, initially doing a good job of controlling Kawada, cinching in a sleeper off the ropes, but Kawada escapes with a quick backdrop of his own, and this brings in the Triple Crown champion. We get a rapid exchange, Akiyama hitting a couple of arm drags, Misawa with head scissor escapes, a standoff. Must be said, Akiyama doesn't look overawed. Taue returns, initially greeted by some Misawa elbows, but an attempted rebound elbow is well scouted, Taue aiming a kick at Misawa's padded left knee and trying to work over the weak spot. Akiyama is happy to repeat the stomps, adding his own work with a leg lock and knee stomp, a vicious streak already developing here, and he applies an STF. Taue soon comes back for a half crab variation, seriously wrenching the knee. Even the stoic Misawa's looking desperate to escape, but a boot brings him down. Akiyama hits another blow with a knee breaker straight into a leg lock. Initially, Misawa looks pretty pained, but he manages to kick out, and when they're back up, he hits the eternal equaliser, a big old elbow. A fresh Kawada returns, and suddenly the rookie may be exposed. Kawada gets right in there with the kicks, whipping Akiyama in for the Abisagiri, soccer kicks to the back like he's striking a knuckleball from 30 yards out, and a Boston Crab that Taue has to break up. Misawa returns, continuing to work Akiyama's back with elbows, applying his own Boston Crab. This time, with the crowd cheering him, Akiyama finds the ropes. The rookie is very much in peril, Kawada now applying a Cobra Twist. On releasing it, he tries a suplex, but Akiyama still has heart, reversing with a suplex of his own. Still, Kawada is quick to hit the boot and keep control. Misawa comes back, hits his own back kick, and while Akiyama tries to respond with forearms, only one elbow is needed to bring him back down. I suppose that this is what you would expect by this stage of the bout, with Akiyama having so much less experience. You do wonder if there is any way he can get the hell out of there against what is basically the world's top tag team. Kawada comes back and runs Akiyama in, the rookie responding this time with a sunset flip. After a struggle, he does get Kawada over for a 2 count, but he's unable to tag out. Kawada hits a big clothesline for a 2 count, Misawa comes in and hits the corkscrew forearm for another 2, getting yet another from a gut wrench suplex. Quick tags, and we see even more vicious kicks to the back from Kawada, and a few more stomps sees Dangerous K apply a Scorpion Deathlock. You may expect Taue to intervene on this one, but he doesn't. Instead, he will try and guide Akiyama through this punishment, encouraging him to struggle to get to the ropes, and he does. Still, when Kawada follows this with the Soul Powerbomb, Taue has no choice but to intervene. It's looking pretty bleak for the rookie at this point. Taue hits a few more strikes on Kawada, encouraging Akiyama to take advantage, and he does manage to apply an abdominal stretch. Not bad, but a run to the ropes is met by a Kawada power slam. Kawada follows with a running power slam, Taue breaking it up again, and now Kawada is going for the stretch plum. Akiyama has been under the cosh for well over 10 minutes now, looking totally out of it. But when Taue and Kawada fight after another break, he's still able to recover and surprise Kawada with a schoolboy for a 2 count. And at long last, he is now able to tag out to Taue. Taue hits some big chops and knees, followed by a boot and a little elbow for Misawa, withstanding a Kawada kick and thrusting his rival down. From there, he hits a powerbomb for 2. Taue tries to hit the Nodowa Otoshi, but after a struggle, just when he's looking to get it, Kawada reverses into the stretch plum. This time Akiyama's got to get in there, trying to break it. It takes a good few forearms before Kawada finally lets go. The returning Misawa hits a running elbow and a DDT before we get some more running. Misawa initially dodges a Taue knee, the pair eventually collide, and Taue is able to throw Misawa over after a struggle, bringing Akiyama back to the action. He's recovered from the earlier lengthy punishment, but is there any way he can turn this all around? Akiyama comes in hot with a missile dropkick and tries to get going. More dropkicks, forearms in the corner. However, Misawa reverses a posting attempt with a back elbow, suplexes, and applies his lethal face lock. Taue naturally intervenes, receiving elbows for his trouble, and now Kawada's got control of him on the outside, Misawa now cinching that face lock in the centre of the ring. This is a move that has taken out the very best, something a rookie would usually have no chance against, certainly not after the sort of beating Akiyama's already received. And yet, he holds on long enough for Taue, after DDTing Kawada on the floor, to intervene once again. Taue knows he has to do more, and so he hits an Nodowa Otoshi on Misawa, and they follow that with a backdrop and Nodowa combination. Kawada's not able to get there, but Misawa barely kicks out. Akiyama goes for one last rally, hitting the German suplex for another big near fall, Taue running interference again, Akiyama now hitting a Northern Light suplex. He's given everything he has, but Misawa kicks out again. Kawada interrupts another backdrop Nodowa, throwing Taue outside. But still, Akiyama fights, knocking Kawada back with a dropkick, doing the same to Misawa, and rolling him up for another near fall. Suddenly, Misawa is looking desperate to close this out. He hits a couple of nasty elbows followed by the spinning backdrop, but now Akiyama's kicking out. Akiyama tries in vain to block the Tiger Driver, but ultimately Misawa connects. Taue breaks the pin, at which point he and Kawada spill to the outside, leaving Misawa and Akiyama alone. there is only one outcome, surely. It has been a spirited effort, but another elbow and a second Tiger Driver finishes the bout at last. The Super Generation Army win the match and the Real World Tag League in 23 minutes 52, becoming the new PWF Tag Champs into the bargain. Once again, there's a lot of respect shown to the Super Rookie. Akiyama does get his hands raised by his tag partner as well as by Masanobu Fuchi. It's a pretty good match, this one. Kind of an odd one, I suppose, and a bit of a forgotten one considering the strange old circumstances of this tag league. I mean, it seems odd to describe a tag league final as a bit of a hidden gem, but there's a lot to enjoy here. It is sandwiched between two tag league final classics, of course, Super Generation Army vs MVC in 1991, Kobashi and Misawa vs Holy Demon Army in 1993, meaning that this gets overlooked somewhat, but we do have an interesting dynamic here, somewhat similar to the Hansen Gordy vs Tenryu Kawada final from 1988, only here Akiyama is even more of a newcomer. It is clear in the story of this match that Akiyama is severely overmatched against Misawa and Kawada. Frankly, it's a huge moment when he gets in any offense at all, and the crowd pops accordingly. He certainly does a great job of selling it all, and Taue does a great job of not just carrying his partner, but acting as his mentor, encouraging him every step of the way, as opposed to just trying to do everything himself. As for the Super Generation Army, they're perfect in their more natural role. They are the top team, most certainly expected to win this bout, and even if they are thoroughly on top for most of this contest, it's great when they do get surprised, especially near the finish when Akiyama comes close to what would have been one hell of a shock. Happily, even if the stakes don't necessarily feel quite as high here as they normally would be in a tag league final, the crowd still very much gets into everything, especially if it involves Akiyama getting some hits on the big guns, and it all makes for a fine 25 minutes or so. Is it one of the best tag league finals ever? No, but it's certainly one that's worth seeking out. Hopefully, with this look at just the first couple of months of Jun Akiyama's career, you see how he was conditioned right from the off not just to be a big star, but to be amongst the very elite. And what's amazing to see is how natural that all feels. Sure, Akiyama isn't controlling any of the matches we've seen, he's not leading the bouts or anything like that, but there is no point where he even looks like he's a little bit green. From his very first match, he looks like he more than belongs here, as if he'd already been in the ring for years. Against Kobashi, he looks like someone who's coming back ready and roaring from an excursion, not someone who's making his full debut, and he continues to shine through the rest of 1992. Obviously, he won the Rookie of the Year in the Japanese press. No one else came even remotely close. From this early point, his fate was kind of sealed. There would be more struggles in 1993 and 94, a time when Akiyama would get some proper trials, have a little bit of a slump because, well, it would be impossible for anyone to maintain the sort of speed he reached in those first couple of months. But by the time we get to around 1996 or so, his near 3-year All-Asia tag reign with Takeo Omori, his big tag team with Misawa, he's about there. He is the fifth pillar, and he deserved to be there. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and until the next time, bye for now.